Do you have a complainer on your team and would you like to know how to deal with them? Then stay tuned because we're going to talk today about how to deal with those complainers on your team. Hey, my dear, I'm leadership development coach Kathy Archer, and I help women leaders enjoy impactful leadership because too many women leaders in nonprofits are overwhelmed and overloaded and can't remember the last time they were overjoyed. And that's not okay. Today we're going to talk about how to deal with complainers on your team. But before we do that, I'm going to share this into my Confident Women Leaders community. Too many women in nonprofits feel isolated and alone as they move into leadership positions, and that's not okay. Inside of the Confident Women Leaders community, we're creating a network of women who support each other as we learn, grow, and develop together. And if you want to join, the link is in the notes. So let me just head over to find this post. I love how, oh, there we go. Takes a minute for Facebook to jump on and allow me to share in a group, Confident Women Leaders, post it. So complainers on your team cause you grief. And there are three primary reasons, or a zillion reasons, but I'm going to remind you, because you already know this, of the three reasons that we really do need to deal with complainers. And here they are. The first reason is complainers drain you of your energy. Like when you're the leader and you're sitting at a meeting or they're constantly knocking on your door or you're getting these emails and it's like, that drains you. And that's not okay. I said at the beginning, too many women are overloaded, overwhelmed, and overburdened. You don't need more of that on your plate. So first reason is complainers drain you. Second reason that we need to deal with complainers is they also drain the team. When you have a complainer on your team, that oozes out into everybody else. And then everybody else gets drained and sucked by their negativity. And when you have that, you'll find that people then it starts to rub off on them. If somebody else is complaining, what do? We're like, yeah, that is a problem. Yeah, why don't people? And it builds and builds and builds. So complainers not only drain you, they drain the team. And then the third thing is they drain you and your team of valuable resources. If you've ever been in a meeting and a complainer starts and they just talk and they complain and everybody tries to like move on, but they suck 15 minutes or more out of a meeting. You don't have time for that complainer to be sucking that much time out of meetings, nor do you have time for them to be knocking on your door all the time. So we need to deal with complainers because they're pulling valuable resources from you, your team, and the organization as a whole. So what do you do with complainers? Well, here's the thing. Complainers want to be noticed. They want to be acknowledged. They want to be heard. And they'd really like you to just fix their problem for them. That's not the thing that you need to do. What we need to do with complainers is teach them how to hold themselves accountable, how to impact their circumstances themselves, how to take action that's going to change things. And for the most part, complainers are feeling like it's not their fault. And they blame, they finger point, they wait for somebody else to change. So if you're going to start to change them, there are 3 steps that I want you to take in helping them to start taking accountability for what's going on. But before we get to those 3 steps, let's talk about something else that maybe you haven't thought about. So in this week's blog, you're going to see some stories about where I've had a complainer in my life, somebody who's belly aching and whining and moaning but won't change. But when I stop to look at what they're doing and ask myself the same question, do I do that? I realize that I've done that in a lot of places. And so I want you to just start thinking about that. When we notice what other people are doing, it's often a reflection of what's going on in our own experience. And so just recognizing, where am I complaining? Where am I finger pointing? Where am I blaming? Where am I, being the complainer and not taking responsibility for my actions? And so sometimes we have to shift that around. So one example is on my team, I have somebody who's not pulling their weight. And they, you'll ask them to do something and they'll say yes, but then they won't. And then somebody else has to pick up the pieces. And that's not okay. And so I've been moaning to other people about it. I've been complaining in my head about it. And that's not going to change anything. It's not till I stop and then hold that person accountable, will things change? But in that situation, I'm the complainer. And so recognizing that part of what's holding me back is I don't want to have that icky, awkward conversation with them. And yet I know that I need to have that conversation with them. And so it's by recognizing where I'm complaining, where I'm moaning, groaning, whining, doing all of that stuff, that allows me to shift and go, okay, so what can I do differently? I don't like what they're doing and it's dragging the team down. It's impacting our efficiency. And what is it that's going to change things? Well, it's when they start taking responsibility. But if I keep sitting there saying, well, they just need to take responsibility. They need to take responsibility. They didn't do it. It's their fault. It's not going to change anything. It's not till I sit down and have that conversation with them and say, hey, you know what? I want to share something about how your behavior is impacting our team. And I'm not sure that you're aware of this, but I want you to understand what's going on. And then I want to see what we can do to change that. That conversation, when I have it, is what's going to make the difference. Me taking responsibility, me taking that first step, me taking initiative, me reversing or flipping the direction that I'm pointing blame and going, oh, wait a minute. Where have I been holding myself back? Well, I've been holding myself back because I haven't had the courage to have that conversation. And so it's recognizing that allows me to move forward. So it's the same for the complainers on our team. Where most people are when they're complaining is that focus of out there. It's their fault. If they would just change, if somebody else would just fix this, and they finger point and put the blame out there. So when you step in to have a conversation with them and try and hold them accountable, it can really feel like you are suddenly blaming them and finger pointing and being kind of mean. So you have to do it a little bit more consciously and aware of how you're interacting with them and the impact you're going to have. So step one is to actually acknowledge their agony. So, and I need to add the word genuinely acknowledge their agony. When somebody's complaining, belly aching, whining, moaning, they really are frustrated about something. And if we hop over that frustration or that annoyance, then they aren't seen and we aren't recognizing their frustration. So I'm not telling you to stay there, but to acknowledge it. One of the things that people want from their leaders is to know that you care about them, that they matter, that they're a person, not an employee number or a warm body. They want to know that they're a person. And part of being in a relationship with other people is acknowledging that that person has feelings and emotions and frustrations and pains. And so simply saying something like, this really bothers you, doesn't it? This is really getting on your nerves, isn't it? I can see that you're really worked up about this. Just a comment like that helps them to be seen and acknowledged. And so that's the first step, is to acknowledge their agony. The second step is to ask them about the desired outcome. Often when people are complaining, they're holding on to something in the past. They're holding on to a past frustration, a past hurt, a past annoyance, and they keep sort of bringing it up. Well, she keeps doing this. She keeps doing this. She keeps doing this. Every time I go there, this is happening. I never get the support I need. The shifts are always messed up. We're not getting the dollars, whatever it is. They keep going back there. And we look at what we don't have, what's not working, what the problem is. And so when you ask them about the outcome they desired, it's moving from the past to the future. And so your question really needs to be directed at them in terms of, what is it that you want? What are you looking for? What's the outcome you desire? And when you ask that question, dig a little bit to try and understand what that feels like to them. So often what they'll say really flippantly is, well, I want them to stop doing that. Okay, so if they stop doing that, how does that change your day-to-day experience? So, when I was in the group home, you were supposed to write in the communication book every day. And sometimes people wouldn't write in the communication book. And you would have no idea what was going on with those clients or what happened that day or what you needed to make for supper. And so to have that frustration, it would be like, if people would just start writing in the book, okay, what would that do for you? If people started writing in the book more frequently on that ongoing communication, what would that do for you? Well, it would make me more aware. I'd be more prepared. I would feel like I knew what was going on. I would be able to be up to date on the challenges the kids in the group home are facing. And so have them start talking about it in a positive way. So move them from the past to the future. What's the outcome you desire? So first thing you do is acknowledge their agony. Second thing you do is ask them for the outcome. And then the third step is to ask them what action they can take, not anybody else, but what action they can take to start moving towards that. So again, if I go back to the group home example, they might be wanting you to go talk to that person about not writing in the communication book. Instead, probably what you're looking for is them to have that conversation. You want them to be able to communicate with each other. They're the ones working together on the 8-hour shift, not you, or a 12-hour shift, whatever it is. And so you want them to be able to communicate with each other a little bit better. So, asking them, so if that's the outcome you want, is better communication, you want to be more up to date with things, what action can you take? What step can you take to moving towards that? Well, I'm asking you. No, I'm asking you to take some responsibility for making changes in your work environment. How can you communicate with that staff who's not doing that to help them know why you want them to be more consistent in writing the communication binder? What is it that's going to help them understand that? It might be simply writing a sticky note. It might also be having a conversation. And if I go back to the example that I used about my team, that's half the battle, is we're uncomfortable having those awkward conversations. And so it's encouraging them to say, okay, here's another question you can ask. What strengths can you leverage to take that action? Well, what are my strengths? Sometimes we haven't done the work to help our employees look at where their strengths are, where their gifts and talents lie. And that's one of the things we want to develop in them. So really come back to, well, you're generally a patient person. I don't normally see you worked up. So patience is a strength of yours. How can you use that strength? Maybe you have a strength of humor. How can you add a little bit of humor to the situation to help you get through it? Maybe you have the gift of writing. So maybe a sticky note is the best idea, or a letter. Maybe you have the gift of, I don't know, something around really connecting to that value of the clients. And so maybe it's about really reminding yourself, it's not about me and this other staff. It's really about the clients. And so if I can lean into that passion I have for the work, that will help me get through that difficult conversation. Those are examples you can do to help them move towards the future. So first step, acknowledge their agony. Second step is ask them about the outcome they want. And then the third step is to ask them what action step they need to take to get there. So acknowledge agony, ask about the outcome, ask about the action they're going to take. I'm going to give you a bonus step because I think it really helps you move from managing and dealing with sort of negativity and putting out fires to really leading and helping your team grow. And so the question then becomes, the fourth question you want to ask this person who's been complaining is, what can I do to hold you accountable for this in a way that doesn't feel naggy, negative, or like I'm micromanaging you? What can I do to help hold you accountable to this in a way that doesn't feel naggy, negative, or micromanaging? You can fix the question however you want to word it, but it's about, I see you as somebody who's, genuinely struggling with this, but I'm here to help you. I'm here to support you. It's really important that we learn to communicate better on the team, and I can't always swoop in and fix things. So how can I hold you accountable for that in a way that doesn't make you feel like I've got my thumb on you and I'm controlling you? I want you to be empowered. I want you to feel confident that you can deal with this on your own. So that's the bonus question. So again, one more time. Acknowledge their agony, ask them about the outcome they desire, and then ask them about the action they're going to take. Bonus step, if you're up for it, is to say, what can I do to help hold you accountable in a way that's actually supportive and empowering to you, in a way that's not negative or micromanaging. Those 4 steps are really going to help you deal with the complainers on your team. Hold yourself accountable as well to that. If you're noticing that you're not, if you're complaining, whining, moaning, pointing fingers, waiting for things to change, what can I do differently? If today's session has been helpful for you, then you might find the training library helpful as well. Many women leaders in nonprofits would really love to have a coach or a mentor help guide them through that, but they don't think that they can afford it. But you can. Inside of the training library, not only will you find affordable and accessible ongoing personal and professional development, but you will also have an executive coach at your fingertips. That's me. That way, when you hit those inevitable challenges that leadership's going to throw your way, because it will, you will know where to go for ongoing support and resources to help you get through that. If you want to learn more about the training library, go to kathyarcher.com/library and you will find all the details that you need. Thank you for tuning in today. It's when you do this work, it's when you commit to that ongoing personal professional development that you find your path to success in leadership and life, and you move from surviving to thriving in both your leadership and life. Go make the rest of your day awesome, my dear.